Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Abstract, and we are back with another Kevin Samuels video. Okay, I'll make the intro really quick for you guys. The cologne for the evening is Tom Ford Tuscan Leather. It is a Eau de Parfum, right? Very good, very nice smelling. Another one from my twin brother. Let's get that out the way. Gotta get the smell goods. That is nice. That's nice. And the candle for the evening. We actually got a candle today, right? It's a Man Cave 22. So yeah, that's nice. Yeah. All right. So let's get started with the video. Back to you, Kev.
Mm. What's going on, people? This is going to be a sensitive subject, but we're not going to insult. This is not going to be a place where guys are going to get insulted, clowned. I really want to have this conversation. And let me set the groundwork. When the internet came of age with the advent of the smartphone changed the game. In the late 90s, early 2000s, we had access to the internet. It was just an extension of how human beings interacted and communicated. But with the smartphone, the entire game changed. So now people actually have a mobile computer at their fingertips. And one of the biggest things that happened was attention for women and men. Men and women used to have to actually, singles had to actually go out to places to interact. Married as married people would do married things, but single people had the entire dating economy. Movies, dinner, plays, clubs, nightclubs. There was an entire industry dedicated to singles. But as Match.com, Plenty of Fish, okay, you name it, as people started trying to become more efficient and meet people here, what happens? The average woman is able to go onto these platforms and get hundreds of guys from, regardless if she's interested in that, attention. The dating environment has completely changed as far as attention. Shout out to Alan Roger Curry. Frat Brother talked about mode one. He has been talking about no free attention, no free attention back in the early 90s. But now, today, women have access to more free attention than human beings are equipped to deal with. As such, it has become increasingly more difficult for guys who are not alpha males or alpha males with beta traits. Shout out to Alan Roger Curry, to actually go out and meet a woman, approach a woman, talk to her, seduce her, romance her, and actually end up having sex and pursuing a romantic relationship. I'll tell you right now, I have never had a problem with getting women, getting the kind of woman I want, getting access to the woman I want. I believe that I can actually talk to most women. That's the kind of confidence I have. I believe that most women find me attractive. That has been my lived experience. And even the women who I might not be their particular thing, I still know that better than 80% of the women out there are going to be interested. That puts me in this category over here. But I also have friends and colleagues that are right there in the middle, and even more so that are extremely unsuccessful. My college best friend, his name was D. D was a good looking dude, smart engineer. On paper, he had things going for him, but he was socially awkward. There was nothing about this dude that said smooth, cool, charismatic. So the only way he could end up having sex was pity sex. He'd end up having to look, a woman just basically take pity on him and give him some, or he'd have to resort to prostitutes. This was in the late 80s and 90s. And the reality is this: for today, there are men hiding in plain sight. You might be one of them who are gainfully employed, average to above average looks. On paper, solid, decent citizen. And 60 years ago, these guys would have likely been married. But today, these guys are entering into their 30s, 40s, and approaching their 50s as functioning virgins, meaning the last sexual experience or the only sexual experience they had was back in high school or college. Why? Because high school and college is the last time where men and women are in the same place, same environment, talking about the same things, and they could be beta males and just happen to be in a situation to where you're playing video games or you end up at somebody's dorm room or something, and then you just luck up into sex. These guys never were able to make it happen. It was always the women initiating or basically taking pity on them and giving you some mercy coochie. What happens when these guys are no longer in college or on the dorms? They go out into the world, move into a neighborhood. It's work, home, work, home. There's nowhere to go meet women. There's no way to go sit next to somebody and be the beta male nice guy and then have a woman take, because women got too many options. So here's what we have: we have beta males, we have men who are 40 years old who've had less than 3 sexual partners in their entire lives. Yeah, 40 years old, fewer than 3 sexual partners. I mean, fewer than 3 sexual experiences. 1 to 2 partners, maybe. I know this is going to be, I need you guys to understand, if you are like me, a guy who's never had problems with women.
Yeah, 40 years old, 3 sexual partners. Just pay for it at that point. I'm co signing this, I'm sanctioning it. Just pay for it at that point. That's crazy to hear.
I didn't know these guys even existed in these numbers. I mean, I knew my homeboy growing up, but I just thought he was a little strange. All the guys I used to hang around, we could get women. But today, what impact does being, and this is why I want to make the broadcast, women are not the enemy. See, what I'm also starting to see is younger guys in their early 20s seeing the difficulty men in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond are having, listening to all this content and getting angry with women. Worrying about, I don't want to get with a woman because of family court and child support, da 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 da. And I ask you, when was the last time you actually approached a woman? Because here's the reality. In corporate America, entry level and lower level supervisory, there is a cap to how high an unmarried man will likely ascend. Beyond entry level or lower supervisory roles, middle management, upper management, executive management, people are married at that level at a rate of about 90%. If you want to move up, you are going to have to get married. Better to be, you can have 10 divorces, it does not matter. But in order to move up, you must be married. It is an unwritten rule, but it is there and it's firm. Men who are unmarried are looked at as unstable. Human beings have evolved to not trust unattached men. And if you think, well, this movement, that movement, all these things are going to change corporate policies, you are sorely mistaken. Jeff Bezos will remarry. And the reality is this: for the rank and file guy, alpha males, pure alpha males with alpha tendencies are about 5% of all men. 5%. Alan Roger Curry, alpha male strategies. Alan Roger Curry was born an alpha male strategies, became an alpha male. I believe you can actually, I know you can move through these rankings, but 5% are alpha males and want to live life as an alpha male. That means 95% of men want a woman, whether short term, long term. 95% of men have evolved to want women. We got to start there. Unmarried professional men are less likely to be promoted to middle class, or middle management, or upper management. Many men today are living life as beta males with beta male traits. Most men who are incels today don't want to be incels. I coach and work with men who are incels, involuntarily celibate. What that means is, I know there's a term incel. Incels usually are synonymous with virgins. But there's an incel who's had sex, but it's been 1 or 2 times and it was decades ago. What do you do with a late 30s or 40-year-old man who hasn't had sex in 20 years? That guy does not want to be that. Yet he cannot go out and talk to a woman, strike up a conversation, and romance her, seduce her. He has not learned how to be that smooth operator. So that's how these guys end up going year after year after year after year with no woman. I know this is hard for some guys to believe. Trust me, I didn't understand it, but they exist. And they're not weirdos. They're not crazy. What's happening is the environment has changed. Women have access to more attention. They got access to more guys. And these guys are not the best salespeople. They're just not smooth like that. And if you're just not smooth like that, and if you combine that with not going out and combine that with being average or below average looks, how you got too many struggles going on. How you gonna make that happen? If guys like myself, guys like Alpha Male Strategies getting flaked on, what luck do these guys have? And I'm not, so my goal is to actually, let's talk about it, because there is hope for you guys. But you got to understand where you're at. Today, it's more common for the typical woman to be more sexually experienced, more sexually aggressive, and more dominant. If and when guys like this end up having sex, it's a woman making it happen. I want you to think about the kind of guy I'm talking about. How does a beta male with low sexual charisma move up in the world? How does he get promoted? How do other people feel about him in ways that they won't describe? You didn't know they existed either. Well, see, the thing is, women really can't understand this because women, you have a vagina. Someone will use it. I am talking about men who I have seen face to face, who I know are solid dudes, who are suffering in silence because they want nothing more. They just want one woman. They just want access to one. And I feel sorry for these guys because the longer this goes on,
and I am an incel. I wonder why my success rate as a salesperson is greatly affected, or the fact I can't relate to other married men.
let's talk about it, David, because the reality is this: the longer this goes on, these guys are going to reach late middle age, and they're going to be ripe to be taken advantage of. Kevin Samuels has been married twice, and if I wanted to, I could be married by the end of the year. See, that's the thing.
I'm sorry. What he just said was extremely important, and it really just made something click inside of me. He said the incels that don't get any sexual experience with women are going to be primed basically to be taken advantage of in their 40s. This is where all the old simps come from. It literally makes sense. Because I always used to wonder, why are these old men being sugar daddies to these young girls? What do they get out of it just spending money on them? But I get it now. It's the attention that they didn't get in their youth as men. And now that they have money because they didn't deal with women when they were younger, so they literally just had to focus on getting money, all of that unhad attention, they're now essentially buying it and tricking out these little, not these little girls, but these younger women and stuff like that. So that's very interesting. I never thought about it like that. Let's keep going, Kev.
Thing.
There we go.
I'm not against getting married. I'm not. I just know one thing, knowing what I know now, I pick better. See, that's the difference. Why are middle management and upper management guys, why don't they have the problems a lot of the guys in the manospheres have? They know all the same things. It's because they understand the value of being married. If you want to be taken seriously as a man, an older man, you have to be married. There's nothing worse than being an old playboy trying to move up in the company. It's pathetic. And the reality for me is if I wanted to be married, I could be married by wintertime. For full stop. I could go out there in the world and find a feminine, beautiful, inspirational woman to get on my program and who would love to be my wife. I know that. Now, if I know I could go find a wife, I want you to think about the difference between the confidence and the self-esteem that I have versus a guy who can't even get a date. Talking about men who cannot approach a woman to get a date. 3 strikes and out and married. See, that's another thing. I'm going to say about black men. Only black men look at marriage this way. Black men look at marriage as a failure. Your president has been divorced 4 times. They don't sweat it. I don't look at the way Black America looks at stuff. No, look in Hollywood. How many times do you see people? Tom Likas married 4 times. You look at people. I know guys who have been married 5 times, and they're looking for their next wife. Again, what do they know that you don't know? And instead of worrying about what could happen, what the reality is this.
What about those of us that require diversity? I found marriage and one woman to be incredibly boring. I might remarry when in older, but I'm only 32.
There you go. You're 32. What's going to happen when you're 50? How much pussy do you need, man? I mean, call in, because here's what needs to happen. I can guarantee you this. Most of you guys will never get to my numbers as far as sexual partners. I've had sex with hundreds of women, hundreds. And I'm talking about guys who have a problem having sex with one. In one semester in college, I had sex with 38 women. 38 in one semester. And I still lost the contest. The guy who won the contest had 45. And it was a known contest. We wanted to see who could get laid the most in one semester. Me, Chris, Ali, and Drew. All the guys. Mike topped us out with 45. Ali came in with 42. I came in with 38. Considering that I was a transfer and I'd only been in the area for 3 months, I think I did pretty damn well. Have you had sex with 38 women in one semester? And understand something. I don't deal with ugly women. I've never slept with a fat chick, an ugly chick. I got standards. I've never messed around with a vampire. Any woman I've ever been with could run up on me in public and start screaming and hollering, and you'd be like, ooh, yeah, never. So I don't understand this. Every guy's slept with a mud duck. No, he ain't. I don't have to. I wish Alan was here. I wish Alan was here. She straight up. I come from the days where Kappa's pretty boys, we got the best. I got the best of the best. And y'all can have the rest. The best of the black women, I was able to sleep with whatever white woman, I can get what I want. And to this point right now, I'm attractive. Women of all races find me attractive. I mean, that's not a race. I've dealt with women who are like, normally I'm not into black guys, but you, yeah, I mean, so I'm different. While I may not be in the 5% that's pure alpha males, I'm certainly alpha with beta traits. But that's only about 10 to 15% of guys. I need you guys who are beta males to understand something. You can evolve from being completely beta with beta traits. You can become beta with alpha traits. Or you want to put enough work into it, you can become an alpha with beta traits. But beta with beta traits, you're doomed. Your life is going to be transactional sex, sex with prostitutes at best. You are never going to have a emotionally profound, emotionally significant relationship with a beautiful woman. And that's how it's always been for beta males with beta traits. Shout out to Alan Roger Curry. What do you guys think? When we back in the days when we were hunter-gatherers or an agrarian society, everyone didn't get a wife. Everyone didn't get a mate. Beta males couldn't get wives and kids because you couldn't protect them. He said, I stopped counting when I hit 50 women. Let me tell you, man. Look, and there was a time where there was a badge of honor, but I would say that there's a certain level of there's a certain kind of confidence that comes with knowing you can seduce a woman. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen it. So you got to be romantic sometimes. You got to be, so understand something. If you are unmarried, single, if you fall in the incel category, you have to get out of the incel category. If nothing else, for your, what I find is most incel, the guys that fall in this category, suffer from some form of depression. There's depression, anxiety. They're not happy. They're just simply not happy. Unattached. These single men are not happy. They're living life on numb. David, you need to call in. So basically, a lot of us are reasonable facsimiles of the lie our mothers in church pumped us out to be. No, dude, you're your own responsibility, David Little. It's not your mother's responsibility. It's nor the church's responsibility. It is 100% on you. You are a grown man. are responsible for yourself. After 18 years old, nobody owes you anything. You're responsible for yourself, David Little. I'm 38 and I'm an incel, and I wonder why my success rate as a salesperson is greatly affected, or the fact that I can't relate to other married men. Call in, David, because I would say a lot of you incels are entitled. You're entitled and you think you should get more than you're worth. And especially when it hits millennial, incel and millennial is synonymous. I don't know any incel. Very rare do I find incels in Generation X. There are some, but here you go. Don't ask questions. Let's talk about it, because again, when I coach with men, I work with men who have gone from incel to relationship, gone from incel to wife, beautiful wife on top of that, and this dude's a little bitty, fat, pudgy ginger. See, I laid the groundwork on why it's difficult, but there have always been beta males. There have always been socially awkward dudes. What are you gonna do about it?
And we're going to stop it right there. I want to separate Kevin's giving advice portion to him with the calls portion. So join us for part 2. Okay? Okay.